This is breaking news from the Las Vegas Review-Journal, sponsored by Michael Gaughan's South Point Hotel, Casino, and Spa.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Jen Ah with the Las Vegas Review-Journal, coming to you live. We're getting ready to take you once again to Pahrump for the second half of the preliminary court hearing in a bizarre case involving torture and death. My colleague Renee Summerhour covered the first half for you. Now, this is a case where 3 people are accused of torturing a Las Vegas man in the desert for hours before killing him near Pahrump. The suspects are 27-year-old Las Vegas resident Heather Pate, along with her boyfriend, 36-year-old Kevin Dent, and her former boyfriend, 37-year-old Brad Main. Now, they've been charged with murder with a deadly weapon and kidnapping with a deadly weapon, and they're accused of killing 27-year-old Roy Jaggers, whose body was found August 1st in Cathedral Canyon between Mountain Springs and Pahrump. Earlier in court today, there was reportedly a lot of back and forth between defense attorneys and the prosecutors. Now we're waiting for the second half of this preliminary hearing to begin. It looks like the judge has taken a seat and it is about to begin very soon. So far, we've heard from about 3 witnesses. We're expecting to hear from more. Let's take a live listen.
I found it, Judge.
Good job, very good job.
Where's my client, by the way?
You should be coming in next.
It's like herding cats. Ooh. I got it. Take it away, you made. Today's your man. Tell me good. Before his time. Might be before Dad's time. Okay.
You've been watching breaking news from the Las Vegas Review-Journal, sponsored by Michael Gaughan's.
Stephanie Rucker.
Yes.
Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? I do. You may be seated.
I prefer
Sure, that's fine.
Okay.
If you could please state and then spell your name for the record.
Last name was Rucker, R-U-C-K-E-R. First name is Stephanie, S-T-E-P-H-A-N-I-E.
All right. And just for clarification, to this point, the only evidence that's been admitted is the one packet of photos, correct?
Yes, Your Honor, it's the only one we've moved, is 13A through L.
Okay, all right, go ahead.
Is it L?
No.
It's not L. It's A
A
through
through G, F or G?
F.
Yeah, F, 13F.
Thanks, Judge. What is your occupation there?
I'm a dispatcher for the North County Sheriff's Office.
And how long have you been so employed?
9.5 years.
I'd like to direct your attention to Sunday, August 1st, 2021. How long have you been with the North County Sheriff's Office at that time?
Roughly 9 years, 4 or 5 months, give or take.
I'll just check. Now, what are your responsibilities working for dispatch?
We answer all emergency calls, administrative calls, document information, create calls for service, and we also dispatch fire, EMS, police, to any calls that require those services.
Do you recall receiving a 911 call as it pertained to a body being discovered in the area of Cathedral Canyon on Sunday, August 1st?
I do.
Do you happen to recall what time that call came in?
It was pretty close to the end of my shift. It was around 6:20, I believe, in the morning.
And what were your responsibilities pertaining to that specific call?
I created the call in our computer-aided dispatch system, and I also dispatched police.
It was your responsibility to dispatch law enforcement?
Yes, sir.
All right, let me show you State Proposed Exhibit 23. Look at that. I do. Just thinking about it. Maybe I can too, like this. It is really. Let me show you State's Proposed Exhibits 23 and 24. You might want to pass it down to co-counsel.
I don't even see it.
You see it?
It's the audio disc for the 911 call. I want to see what's in your hand though.
Cat?
Say again? Yeah, page stamps 1653 to 1687.
Counsel, do you mind if I start with 23? Mr. Ernest?
No, I'm fine with that.
Showing you State's Proposed Exhibit 23. Do you recognize that?
Yes, sir.
How is it that you recognize that particular disc?
I initialed it on the date written on here.
Okay. And you initialed it as having listened to that particular disc?
Yes, sir.
And did you recognize it?
Yes.
Is it accurate?
Yes.
Your Honor, I request that State's Proposed Exhibit 23 be admitted into evidence and published at this time.
I object, Judge, right now she's identified what appears to be writing on the top of a disc, but we don't know what's on the disc. So at this time, I asked her.
A little more foundation.
Correct.
I thought I asked that. You've listened to that disc.
Yes, sir.
And what is that disc?
The disc is of the recording of the call that I took on that morning.
Okay. At 06:20 in the morning, after you just come on shift, Sunday, August 1st, 2021, as you testified, you got a call pertaining to a body being discovered in the area of Cathedral Canyon.
Yes, sir.
And that's what that 911 call that you have there as State's Proposed Exhibit 23 is about.
Yes, sir.
And you've listened to the whole thing,
Yes, sir.
and it's accurate.
Yes, sir.
Again, Your Honor, I would move it be admitted into evidence and played at this time.
Any other difference?
Not from yesterday.
Okay, it should be admitted.
Request to be published at this time, Judge?
Sure.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Sheriff's Office, Stephanie.
Two white males just left Cathedral Canyon Church here in Pahrump, leaving a dead body, a young man. Two white males.
Where are you at?
Two white males.
Where?
talk at you, listen. Shut down there and they can't get out of here.
Where are you at, sir?
I'm at Cathedral Canyon Church.
Where is that at? What road is that on?
It's on the Tacoma Road. It's just off. It's by the shooting range.
Is it the dark SUV?
I couldn't tell. They saw me, and they ran up the hill down there, and their vehicle left after I heard gunshots.
You heard gunshots as well?
Cathedral. What?
You said you heard gunshots?
Yes.
How many gunshots did you hear?
Approximately 4 or 5.
How long ago?
Oh, so they would have shot me in the window.
How long ago did you hear the gunshots?
I would have, could have been more than an hour or so, but they were trying to hide the body.
Okay, all right, hold on for just 1 second. I'll get help on the way. Okay, sir, I've got help on the way. What is your name?
Michael Ward.
Michael Moore?
Ward, W-A-R-D.
What's your phone number, Michael?
801-391-1191.
Okay, and do you see the body? Are you with the body?
The body's down in the canyon in the church. They drug the body in the church. What is wrong with these people? And then they shot him. Well, I don't know if they shot him before or after.
Okay. Where are you currently at so we can get deputies to make contact with you?
I'm at the top of the canyon. The canyon road is where the Cathedral Road comes off of Tacoma Road. It's a young white male. I'm looking down on him now. It looks like he's got a couple gunshot wounds.
A young white male?
Yes.
And you're looking, how far down is he? Are you able to give me a range?
I'm looking at approximately maybe 30 yards, 40 yards up the hill. He's naked.
Okay. Do you have anything on your phone that can pull coordinates?
No, I don't.
Okay.
I'd be able to use. I'm not very phone.
No, it's okay. I understand that. Do you have internet access on your phone?
Yes, I do.
Okay. If you go to Google and put in what 3 words, that'll be able to give me coordinates for you.
I'm not going to do it. It's right here in your face, like right here. You know what? They know where it is. Why are you doing this to me?
I'm just trying to have a good location.
I understand. I understand.
Okay.
When I came out from where I was doing, digging out the baptismal pool, they were dragging the body inside the bath, and I caught them. They hid, and then I didn't realize what I was seeing. I walked up, and then they scattered.
Okay. And you said it was a dark-colored SUV they took off in?
I couldn't tell. The sun was in my eyes as they were leaving. Looked like a smaller SUV, dark color, 2 white males, one of them possibly in his early or late 20s. Another one looks younger.
Okay.
I didn't get a good look at him.
No, I understand.
The bushes. And you guys shut down the area. It shouldn't be too hard to find 2 white males driving around the area.
I understand. We've got units on the way, okay? But they're coming from the center of town, so it's going to take a little while to get out there.
Well, to me, instead of looking for the ones that just murdered someone.
I've given them all the information you've given me, sir.
I'm sorry.
No, I understand. It's a stressful situation. I understand. I completely understand.
So it's an unbelievable situation.
Do you work out there?
I've been doing work to try to clean the church up, and that's what they do.
Are you able to tell me which direction they left the church?
They're headed east, but that's the Tacoma Road, so they can only go 2 different ways. They're headed to 160. Please shut it down.
Okay. Okay. All right. I'm going to put you on a brief hold.
They're out there. I don't know if they threw the gun away. They stopped at the end. I thought they were going to come back and take shots at me, but then they turned back towards 160.
Okay. Okay, hold on for just 1 second. I'm gonna update my units, okay? I'm gonna put you on a brief hold. Okay, sir, I've updated them with all the information you provided me. They're headed to the area. They're obviously gonna look for that vehicle first, okay? But
Well, it's kind of hard to give me much description of the vehicle. I
no,
know.
I understand what you've given me. You've given me what you can, and I understand that, okay?
So are they gonna shut down 160?
I don't know what their procedures are. I basically take the information and I relay it to them and the sergeant, okay? Okay, and you gave me an 801 number, but my caller ID is showing a 702 number. Can you be reached on either number?
That's fine, yeah.
Okay.
No, I don't have another number right now.
Okay, no, that's all right. I just want to make sure in case I lose connection with you, I want to make sure I can call you back. That's all.
I don't want to sit on the line that long.
Why not?
I'm afraid I don't want to talk about this right now. I'm so amazed at the evil of this.
I want to try to stay on the line with you until I can get help to you.
It's not up to me. We're up to two to try.
I understand that, sir. We have to send the cops to both locations. Are you still there near where you can see the body?
Yeah, I'm just looking.
Okay. And have you been at the church all night?
Yes,
Okay. And you're by yourself?
yes.
Okay.
Probably they had heard I was doing work ethic. You know why? When you talk about God, they think evil things. I don't understand people anymore.
I understand. I don't either. I don't either.
I mean, it's totally naked. They have to let some fingerprint DNA on them somewhere. I had to carry them, and I'm not sure. Maybe they rolled them out of their vehicle, and I was unaware that someone was down there. But
Right.
I walked away from my work, and then shoved it in the road. Two young males, one came behind the bushes. I asked them how they were doing, and they said they were doing good. Everyone told me.
Okay.
Please, we'll take a break, moment. Okay? You got my number. You call me back.
Okay, well, I'm going to have to try to keep you on the line until I can...
Did he hang up?
Yes,
Okay, was that the end of the call?
yes, to my knowledge. Or that I can reply.
And let me show you. State's proposed exhibit 24. Take your time, review that. When you had that opportunity to look up, and I'll ask you some questions about it. Do you recognize that?
Yes.
And how do you recognize that?
This is a printout of our call for service for the call in question on our computer-aided dispatch.
And is that what is referred to as a CAD?
Yes, sir.
And what is that used for?
This is how we create our calls. Anytime we get a call for any type of report, we input it into the computer, and when you print it out, it looks like this.
And it simply documents the calls and who's involved and...
Correct. It notes the notes that were given. It notes all the responding units, as far as status updates, and then returns if they're printed off, if they're part of the printed off version.
Your Honor, I request that State's proposed exhibit 24, the admitted new evidence.
I'd like opportunity for Dyer answer the questions, Judge, and then maybe I won't object.
All right.
Can I approach the witness, Judge? Ms. Rucker, turn to page I don't know, 1677, on your base stamp, the bottom corner, yeah. When I'm looking at this, it appears to be, are you making summaries of what the officers are talking about?
Oh, okay, yeah, so anytime a dispatcher inputs notes that says from another person, that's the deputy relaying the information, and we're typing the notes for them under their name.
So I guess my question is, I've heard that also that, I don't know what you call the system, but when a major crime like this happens, dispatch will then text a group text of pre-approved officers who can text about what's going on. Is that what's happening there?
Well, we use what's called a code red.
Code red, that's what it's called.
You're referring to? Okay.
Yeah.
So basically, it's an email that dispatch sends out. It's to 2 different email addresses, and it's basically a notification system to our leadership of the incident.
All right. And I mean, do you know if this was a code red? It's a potential murder case, I imagine it is.
Right here, it was delayed by my partner. She documented that a code red was sent.
Okay, so Paige, what's that?
1665, sir.
So 1665 code red. Now again, this is truly the first time I've heard about it. It's the first time we've ever talked about it in all these years, right? A code red means if you send an email, like a group email to all people that are on the pre-approved list, the brass, the hierarchy, correct?
Okay.
Is that true?
It's to my knowledge, yes.
Okay. And do you know who's on that list?
I know it's our lieutenants, the sheriff, obviously, the undersheriff, but I can't speak to exactly who else in the list. I just have a generic email I send it to.
And then those sheriffs, undersheriffs, and the sheriff, the captains, can then communicate on that, what do you call it? What'd you call
Code
it?
red?
On the code red email?
I've never actually seen the other side of it, so
Okay.
I honestly couldn't tell you how everyone interacts.
It wouldn't be a part of this report.
In here, no.
Yeah.
We just note that code red was sent, the notification.
Okay. And the notification sets it up, but you're not part of the code red communication back and forth?
No, not in dispatch.
You've never seen a code red email?
There will be times where someone will respond back, and I've gotten like a brief email from one person if they needed like an extra clarification on something, and I responded back to that one person.
Okay.
But as far as the ongoing chat, I've never seen that.
All right. But there is an ongoing chat, we can presume, right?
I'm not sure. I assume yes, because I do know there is a supervisor discussion as far as events.
Fair enough. Thank you so much. I'll take any more questions, Judge. Okay.
So any other objection to this being admitted?
Well, I don't know if it's complete, but it's everything that she controls. I would like to get the emails from the code red, which I know now exists. I suspected they did. And I don't think the district attorney even knew that there was a code red email system until now. I don't remember seeing any code red emails. I'm looking at my co-counsel of the volumes of discovery.
I can tell you, counsel, that we want the truth, and we can handle it.
Okay. All right. Are the cameras working? Good. So Judge, I don't object to this, but I will be I'm just formally telling that I now am requesting all the code red emails associated with this case. I do believe them to be existing. I don't think they've been provided to the state from the sheriff's office, and they should have been, because they could be inculpatory or exculpatory. And it's not for the sheriff to decide, it's for the guys over there in the ties to decide and give to us.
I understand, but you even said yourself you don't even know if the state even know that existed, so if they didn't know that it existed, they wouldn't be able to provide it until now, but now that they're aware of it, they can. So
The law enforcement should know better, Judge. That's my point. I mean, you're talking about an investigation of a case. I get the reports, why am I not getting our emails?
I got it.
It's not privileged. Thanks, Judge. But I have no objection to Exhibit 24.
Mr. Biddle, you look into that?
Absolutely, we'll make a note of that. You want the code red? We need that code. We want that code red.
Be mocks, but it's important, Judge.
It just makes me think of a movie. I don't know which one it is.
And you refer to it as an email, and sure it's an email and not a text message system? Is it, which is it?
Oh, I don't know that.
I heard it was a text system, but...
I'm not sure. All I know is in dispatch, we send an email to 2 email addresses, and that's our notification to our leadership.
Okay.
If that helps.
We want the code red email traffic for discovery.
Code red thread text.
Could be text, could be emails, but...
that'll be admitted, number 24.
And here's 23. And I have no more questions this way.
Okay. Any cross-examination, Mr. Gibson?
No, Your Honor.
Ms. Morton? Mr. Ernest?
Yeah, all I want to do on board I'm good.
Okay, so this witness can be excused. Thank you.
Thank you.
State's next witness?
State next witness would be Mr. Brandon Reinhardt. Oh, you're thinking of that little Jeff Buster from
Judge, I have to go get them from outside again.
All right.
Wasn't that her name? Oh, I know you. Yeah. You like her. Yeah. Oh, there you go. Hey, we're gonna need that.
All right, so you've been watching a court hearing in the case of 3 people accused of torturing a Las Vegas man in the desert for hours before killing him near Pahrump. A witness says the defendants believed the victim was a child molester and wanted revenge. Now, during the first half of this preliminary hearing, the first witness we heard from was a pathologist who examined Roy Jager's body. Afterwards, we heard from the second witness, a business associate and neighbor of one of the defendants, Brad Main, who is actually accused of shooting Jagers. The third witness was another man who called 911 after seeing Jagers' body in the canyon. Then, after a short break, we got to hear more of the chaotic and emotional 911 call that was made reporting Jagers' body. It was described as a code red, and we heard from the judge and lawyers there. And right now it looks like they're taking a short break. For now, we'll be leaving you with this live picture. We also want to give you more background information on this case. This is a case that happened in Pahrump but involved people from Las Vegas, and it really shook the whole community in Pahrump and the whole Las Vegas community as a whole in terms of what happened. The suspects are 27-year-old Las Vegas resident Heather Pate, along with her boyfriend, 36-year-old Kevin Dent, and her former boyfriend, 37-year-old Brad Main. They've been charged with murder with a deadly weapon, kidnapping with a deadly weapon, and they're accused of killing 27-year-old Roy Jagers, whose body was found August 1st in Cathedral Canyon between Mountain Springs and Pahrump. There you can see Heather Pate and her boyfriend, previous boyfriends coming into court, pictures of them. Now, this case, according to police, started when Heather Pate and her boyfriend suspected that Jagers had hurt her child. Now, we're hearing an update that a new witness has entered the courtroom. Let's take a live listen again.
Please state and spell your name for the record.
Brandon Reinhardt, B-R-A-N-D-O-N-R-E-I-N-H-A-R-T.
All right, Mr. Goodall,
Thank you.
would you like him to lower his mouth so you can hear him?
So
I
I'm
would.
fine. They would. The defense would.
Okay.
What's your occupation, sir?
I was a teacher and was on unemployment, but currently back enrolled with the union.
And a Teamster.
Yes.
And how long have you been a Teamster?
Started December of 2019. But then COVID hit February, March.
COVID? Oh, the virus.
And,
And where do you live?
5485 South Sir Richard Drive, Las Vegas, Nevada, 89110.
Do you know Heather Pate?
Yes.
How do you know her?
I met her at Dottie's. Actually, I was playing, I had to use the restroom, and had, not a bunch of money, but a little bit of money on there, and I've seen her in there before, and she was towards the ATM, I said, you can watch my machine, I go to the restroom, I'll give you $20. And then, so then I met her that day, talked to her maybe a couple days after that, and then didn't talk to her again until, because then I had moved to that address, and I didn't go to that Dottie's anymore, and then I seen her.
Judge, can we circle this narrative with some questions?
Maybe,
Judge?
summer like July or something like that.
Sure. Thank you, Counsel. Do you remember being at Heather Pate's house July 31st, 2021?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you, I appreciate the motion.
Sorry.
No, you're fine. How far back had you met her for the first time if you were at her house on July 31st, 2021?
When I had first originally met her, which I believe was March, maybe February, March,
Okay.
and then I talked to her maybe a couple days. I first met her, didn't talk to her again until about a week before that. I bumped into her again, talked to her that day, and then talked again about 2 or 3 days before that incident.
So prior to July 31st, you'd seen her maybe 3 times?
Yeah, a couple times when I first met her, within that first week of meeting her,
Okay.
I'd seen her a couple times.
All right. You see her in the courtroom today?
Yes, Your Honor. Or yes, sir.
Can you
Sorry.
identify her for the court?
She's sitting right there.
Huh? How many people in the courtroom do you see in orange?
2, 3,
3?
Yep.
How many of the people in orange are female?
1.
Is that Heather Pate?
Yes, sir.
May the record reflect the in-court identification of Heather Pate.
Record will reflect the in-court identification of Heather Pate.
Thank you. How about Kevin Dent? Do you know him?
No, sir.
Did you see him on July 31st, 2021?
Yes, at her house.
Judge, you just testified doesn't know him, so how do we know he saw him? Lack of foundation.
The same.
Did you see Kevin Dent at Heather Pate's house on July 31st, 2021?
Yes, sir.
How did you know it was Kevin Dent?
I didn't prove prior to all this.
That was the first time you met him?
When I seen her the day before that, he was with her.
Okay. And did you see him in the courtroom today?
Yes, sir.
How many people in the courtroom are wearing orange?
3, sir.
How many are male?
2, sir.
If there's a male on your right and a male on your left, which male in orange would be Kevin Dent?
No on the left.
May the record indicate the in-court identification of Kevin Dent.
Will reflect the in-court identification.
Thank you. Now, we've established that you were at Heather Pate's residence on July 31st, 2021, and that Kevin Dent was there as well. What time did you arrive at Heather Pate's residence that Saturday night?
Roughly about midnight, maybe a little after.
Okay, so it actually may have been August 1st, technically,
Possibly.
because you might have arrived after midnight.
Yes. It's somewhere real close, but it may have been.
Okay. Why were you at Heather Pate's residence on the evening of July 31st, becoming the early morning of August 1st?
Well, my car wasn't working, so my battery went out or whatever, and I needed to switch it at Advanced Auto, which didn't open until the morning, and I couldn't get started like all day. It was at Bullet Station, and then she had news. I talked to her the day before that. She had called me today, and then I said, I'm stuck at Bullet Station. I can't get my car to work. That was my alternator, not the battery.
Excuse me, can you slow down a little, please?
Yes.
That I can't get my car to work.
Yes, so my car wasn't working, turned out it was the battery, so I needed to return it, but it was later. And so she knew that I was there from earlier. When I'd spoken to her, she called me and she said, hey, I got an emergency, is there any way you can watch my kids? what are you doing? I said, I'm still stuck at Bullet Station. I gotta wait for it to open in the morning so I can return the battery. And then she, I was like, well, sure, you know, she called me like, kind of right through it, like I had an emergency. Can you please watch my kids? And I told her where I was, and
You told her where you were and what?
yeah, I was right at the Bullet Station, kind of walking out, right by the 7-Eleven, right at that point, right by it.
And your car didn't work, so did she come to get you?
Yes, she did.
And what happened after she came and got you?
Go to her house.
Do you happen to remember her address?
No, sir.
Okay, could you describe basically where it was at?
Uh,
Cross street, something like that?
If you make a right on Lamb and Sahara, you would make a left soon, right down on the first left, you go down and then you run into some apartments.
So she
real
lives
close to
in...
Lamb and Sahara,
Okay,
but then you make a right and then it kind of there's like a road. I don't know.
so she lives in an apartment near Lamb and Sahara.
Correct.
And she had asked you to babysit her kids, she had an emergency.
Correct.
Had you ever babysat the kids before?
No.
Had you ever seen her kids before?
Yes.
Okay. Because you've been at her house previously?
One time. The first day I met her, we took her kids to Chuck E. Cheese, and I tagged along.
Okay.
Or maybe that was, yeah.
Okay. And what kind of car did she pick you up in?
Red SUV.
You went back to her house, did you go in the house?
I did.
What did you see when you went in the house?
I seen her, Heather, gentleman on the left, and the victim in the house.
Okay. So when you staged proposed exhibit 1, you said the victim. So when you staged proposed exhibit 1, do you recognize the person in that photograph?
I've never seen him previously. Or,
Does the person in that photograph look familiar to you?
the gentleman I seen definitely didn't look like that.
Were you given a name of the person that was at the house?
I don't recall.
Okay. Now, what condition, the person that you saw when you went to the house, after Heather picked you up and brought you to her house, to babysit her kids because it was an emergency?
Excuse me, can we clarify it's an apartment, not a house?
Yes, we can. Thank you very much for that. I appreciate that.
Apartment.
The apartment. You saw someone that you referred to as a victim.
Well, yes,
Why would you refer to him as a victim?
because we're sitting here because his life is taken.
Because he what?
Because we're sitting in here because his life is taken. So, I don't know him personally, so.
Well, and you saw him. Did he look like he was having a good time?
No, he didn't look having a great time, but
Why don't you tell us what you saw? Describe what you saw.
when I came in, he was laying on the floor, and I mean, there was no physical contact or anything when I was there. It looked like even, I know I remember seeing, I didn't really like look at him too much, like directly. I kind of was a little shocked with myself, but it looked like he may have had a swollen ear, maybe, I don't know, maybe the left. I kind of recall visualizing, but I didn't really square it in the face, but looking like maybe it was put on his eye or black eye or something, but that was most of what I like to see a physical damage, you know.
Okay. Did you talk to him at all?
I think I did say, because what she had told me at that point.
She is Heather?
Heather.
Okay.
I said, is this the only kid that you've done this to?
You said that to the victim?
Yes.
And was he handcuffed at that time?
Yes, sir.
So you saw him on the floor handcuffed?
Yes.
Did you find that unusual at all, that there would be a bloody person on Heather's floor handcuffed?
Of course, but he wasn't really bloody at that point.
Okay. You just saw, I think you said a cut?
Yeah, I think his left eye had a cut, and I noticed his ear was swollen,
Okay.
but he wasn't, I don't know what to say, he wasn't battered. I mean,
Didn't look
obviously
like
there was
that
some-
picture.
There was some, no. That's, but there was some physical damage to him,
Okay.
like he got in a fight or was, you know.
Did there come a time when Heather and Kevin Dent left Heather's apartment?
Yes,
About what time was that?
not too much after I arrived.
So it was after midnight?
Yeah, it was after, yeah, for sure, by then.
And did they come back?
Yes.
About what time did they come back?
And it was just supposed to be for a short time, and 'cause I know I had to be on
Judge, can we have a
watch.
sidebar, please? Maybe meet in the chambers real quick? I have some concerns.
Watch my own.
Sure.
All right, so you're watching right now a court hearing in the case of 3 people accused of torturing a Las Vegas man in the desert for hours before killing him near Pahrump. For those of you just joining us, it looks like the judge is talking to the lawyers right now after a witness spoke about what he saw and heard. He says he went to Heather Pate's house because of car issues when he did notice something unusual going on, but he didn't exactly notice or know what was going on. Now, it looks like they're taking a short break for now, but they should be resuming very shortly after the judge talks to the lawyers. Now, this is a case that's really shocked a lot of people. You know, one side, witness saying the defendants believe the victim was a child molester and wanted revenge. On the other hand, the victim's family is saying that, you know, he would never have done such a thing. They didn't want to speak too much on the case as it's going on, but, you know, they said that he all positive things about him. Now, the judge, once this hearing is finished, will decide whether prosecutors have enough evidence to present charges to a jury. As we said before, the Review Journal has spoken to Roy Jager's parents, the victim. Again, they wouldn't talk about the specifics of the case, but his mother did say that Jaggers occasionally babysat Pate's children or watched their dogs, that, you know, he was really nice and he wouldn't hurt anyone. His parents said that, you know, they just want to watch for now, not say too much during the trial. And we do want to warn you, there may be some graphic material presented during the course of this hearing. We'll do our best to turn you away from that when that happens, but viewer discretion is advised. This is a very gruesome murder that we're covering for you today. Right now you're looking at pictures of Heather Pate, her boyfriend and previous boyfriend, who are accused of torturing and killing 27-year-old Roy Jaggers. For now, we'll be leaving you with this live picture while we wait for the judge and the lawyers to return and continue this case.
All right.
You may be seated, thank you.
Still this happening right now, bar.
They're coming.
Oh, that. Yeah, you got plenty of time.
Judge, my concern was that Mr. Reinhardt here is testifying to certain behavior that potentially could be construed as aiding and abetting or aiding and abetting after the fact to very serious charges. And I don't know, one, I want to know if he had an immunity deal, which the state has disclosed that he does not. They haven't offered him anything. And I also want to know if he's been warned or canvassed to advise him that what he's saying right now under oath could ultimately be used against him at a later date for his involvement. In his position would be unwittingly, but the prosecution would be how can it be unwittingly with the guys on handcuffs on the floor. He could be prosecuted too. So he may want to choose to invoke his right not to testify. I don't know. I'm just putting it out there. I think he should be advised of his rights, Judge.
Before we go any further, Judge, if you don't mind, I'd like to ask maybe some foundational things that may aid everyone.
I think he has to be canvassed now or not at all. He's testified to see the man in handcuffs on the floor with a swollen ear, and then, and I know what's going to happen later because I've seen the discovery. That's it, Judge. I should have objected sooner, but I didn't I let it go longer than it should have. Again, I'm not this man's attorney, but I am a gatekeeper. I'm an officer of the court. This is a real issue. And if you canvass and he says, no, I want to testify, good luck to him, you know? But I think it either has to happen now, and he chooses what he wants to do with that.
May I say something?
No. Not yet. You made a minute. All right. And I appreciate that, and I appreciate the ethical obligation that all of you have as attorneys and officers of the court to bring this to the attention of the court. As I was unaware of any of this in the discussion that we had in my chambers, even the state is unaware if he had ever been advised of his Miranda rights or if he had any knowledge of what he was getting himself into. So I do appreciate us knowing that now, and before we go any farther, let me tell Mr. Reinhardt that you have a right to be represented by an attorney. You have a right to not say anything if you do not want to say anything. Anything you say can and will be used against you. Anything that you testify here will be part of the record that can be used against you. It appears from what Mr. Ernest has said and other attorneys in my chambers that there may be some involvement on your part as to what happened with regards to this, but we haven't got that far yet. So it's up to you if you want to continue to testify for the state in this matter, or if you want at this time to choose not to testify and say anything else that may be incriminating against you. What do you think you want to do?
Well, just to add what you say, when the officer first gave an interview and recorded it, I said, do I need a lawyer? He said, no, you don't need a lawyer.
Did the officer interview you, read you your Miranda rights? He didn't tell you that you had a right to remain silent? So I guess at this point, it's up to you to tell us what you want to do at this point. Do you want to continue to testify?
I mean,
Do you want to seek the advice of an attorney as to whether or not you should continue to testify? In case there's anything that you may be saying that could incriminate you as being part of this alleged crime that we're here for today? And the concern is because of some of the testimony that you've given here today. You've already referred to the person as a victim.
what would be, I'm going now with what we see, like I didn't.
Well, I see where the defense counsel is coming from, because if you knew he was a victim,
Well,
or you had an idea he was a victim when he was handcuffed laying on the floor, that would continue to be involved anyway.
I was speaking more to the situation now, and I don't know if any, it's pretty much after that,
There's 2 public defenders back here if you want to appoint one right now, Josh.
Right after that, and I was watching the game. And then they came home, and I don't know
I don't know if I can appoint him because he's not been charged as of yet with anything.
I'm just trying to.
He just keeps talking, doesn't he?
I'm trying to.
I just need to know if you want to continue to testify or not. I'm trying to protect your rights here. Ms. Boscovich, do you want to maybe take him in the back hallway and discuss this with him in further detail so that he has an idea of what we're talking about?
Sure, Judge. I'd be happy to.
Thank you.
Yes, I do.
Okay, first, so those of you just joining us, you've been watching a court hearing in the startling case of 3 people accused of torturing and killing a Las Vegas man in the desert. They tortured him for hours, supposedly near Pahrump. Allegedly, now in the latest in this case, the judge took a short break talking to the lawyers. When he returned, there were some concerns about maybe some involvement in this latest witness's part with this case. And the judge warned him that anything he says can be used against him, that he can stop talking now and hire a lawyer or continue to testify. Soon after that, the witness did leave, his testimony cut short. Now it looks like there's another break while we wait to see if that witness will continue to speak or rather hire a lawyer and stop testifying today. Now, according to police, this case started when Heather Pate and her boyfriend suspected that Roy Jaggers had hurt her child, that he was allegedly a child molester. Then the 3 suspects lured the victim allegedly into Pate's home, where he was handcuffed, forced into her car. Police say they drove him to the Bella Vista shooting range in Pahrump, where Brad Main met them. Now, according to authorities, Roy Jaggers was tortured for hours with a blowtorch, knives, and an axe. He was then taken to Cathedral Canyon and forced to walk off a cliff. After he fell off the cliff, police say Main shot him with a shotgun, and the official cause of death was gunshot wounds. The 3 defendants were arrested within 36 hours after the body was discovered, and they're being held at the Nye County Detention Center without bail. Now, it looks like that latest witness has returned. Let's listen in.
I guess my question is still waiting an answer. Do you want to continue to testify in this matter?
With the referrals, your public defender, no, I would choose to not.
You would choose to not testify at this time?
Yeah.
Okay.
So you're invoking the 5th Amendment right, correct?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
So, Your Honor, I would ask that any statement, any testimony that he's made, been the stricken.
It's a motion that Ms. Boscovich could make in the state charges and anything.
Well, for purposes of our...
I'll join it, I'll join it.
For purposes of this prelim.
Fair enough.
We'll join in that.
Okay. Any objection from the state?
Judge, that's fine. I'm ready to call my next witness.
All right, Mr. Reinhardt, if you're excused. Thank you, Ms. Moskowitz. Who's your next witness, Mr. Riddle? Mr. Riddle.
My next witness will be Catherine Robbins. I know, right?
Watch this.
That'll work.
You can make anything work. Harden. Oh, yeah. I know.
Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? You may be seated.
Ma'am, if you could please state and spell your name for the record.
Do I keep my mask on, or?
You can take your mask off.
Catherine, Katherine, Robinson, Robinson.
Thank you. Mr. Riddle.
Thank you, Mom. Where do you live, ma'am?
4694 Leanne, Leeann Lane, Apartment A in Las Vegas, Nevada, 89121.
And are you working?
No, sir, I'm disabled.
Ma'am, how many children do you have?
I had one.
And what was his name?
His name was Roy Thomas Jaggers.
And when was the last time that you saw him?
Sorry,
Take your time.
July 31st for this year.
And where was the last time that you saw him?
My house.
4694 Leanne Lane?
Yes, sir.
And about what time was the last time that you saw him?
About 3 or 4 o'clock.
That afternoon? Do you know a person named Heather Pate?
Yes,
And how do you know her?
my son was interested in her, and when nothing was going to happen, he just remained friends with her.
And where did she live?
I can't recall the address, but if I stand out my front door and look immediately to the right, I could see her apartment at the end of my street.
So she lived very close to you.
Very. 2-minute walk.
Was your son living with you at the time?
Yes, sir.
Did your son have a full set of teeth?
Yes, sir.
He wasn't missing any?
Not to my knowledge. Oh, he did have his wisdoms out.
Okay, all the way in the back.
Yes.
Do you recall his phone number?
702-862-0221.
And you see Heather in the courtroom today?
Yes, sir.
What color is she wearing?
Orange and white, sir.
Do you know Kevin Dent?
I've not officially met him, but I have seen him walking Heather's dog outside my back door, back window.
And you see him in the courtroom?
No, sir.
Let me show you, well, let me ask you this. You've seen a photograph of your son that was used by the police for identification purposes, is that correct?
Yes, sir, from the chin up.
Are you going to be okay if I show you that photograph
Please.
again? Yes?
I got it.
Let me show you State Proposed Exhibit 1.
Yes, sir. Oh, that is not the picture I saw.
Well, I apologize, I was told it was.
Yes.
Thank you, Arthur. Thank you.
I'm so sorry, sir.
You have nothing to apologize for. Apparently, I do. The information, we knew that you had identified a photograph of your son, and we were told that that was the photograph that you were shown that you identified.
Sir, he had a slice on his cheek and a little bruise under his eye. That's all I had on.
It's okay. You didn't do anything wrong. Well, let me ask you this. You saw that photograph.
Yes, sir.
You recognize it?
Yes, sir.
Who is that?
That's my baby.
All right, I would ask the State Proposed Exhibit 1 be admitted into evidence.
Objection for defense.
Not for me, for the Supreme, I have no objection.
All right, will be admitted.
Ma'am, we want to give you as much time as you need.
Please continue.
Do you have any familiarity with your son's wallet?
Yes,
Do you happen to remember what color it was?
he was a Doctor Who fan. He was the color of the blue TARDIS.
So it was a blue wallet?
Yes.
I have no more questions of this witness at this time.
I go across the elimination.
Ms. Morton?
Ms. Robinson, I'm so sorry for your loss. And I'm sorry in advance for having to ask you questions. You spoke with the officers when they came to ask you about your son. Is there an answer?
Yes, I'm sorry, yes. I apologize.
And you were describing your son and what he did, where he went, and things like that, and some of his history.
Yes, ma'am.
I read in the report that you said that, and I'm just for understanding your son and the situation, you said Roy was a narcissist, and I didn't know what you meant by that.
It was kind of a joke that I would use with him. He wasn't a narcissist at all.
And then, he told the officers that Roy used marijuana, took pills, mostly Percocet. Is that accurate?
That is accurate.
And did he have a injury for the Percocet? He took Percocet with the pain pills.
He did have a problem with arthritis in his lower back.
And when you said mostly pills, other than Percocet, what other pills do you know that he took?
That was it.
And then you also said that you revived him? You told officers that you revived him? What do you mean by that?
He had taken a medication and it knocked him out for hours on my porch, and when I went out there, it appeared he was not breathing, so I gave him knocking out and chest compressions.
And Ms. Robinson, when was that approximately, like what month?
Last year, July.
And did he get treatment for that, for his stroke?
There was no need for treatment. We had the back off.
Thank you, Madam General. Sorry for that.
Thank you so much.
Mr. Ernest, cross-examination.
No, Judge, no questions.
All right. Anything else to say? No. All right, Ms. Robinson, you can be excused. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. State's next witness.
Christopher Scarborough, you have the same issue, Judge. Let's let you know right up front. It's coming down the pipe. That one guy, Mr. Reinhardt. Christopher Scarborough.
Christopher Scarborough would be the same as Mr. Reinhardt.
He should be admonished, Your Honor.
Ms. Decker?
Actually, glad you're not around.
All right, so for those of you just joining us, you've been watching the second half of the preliminary hearing in the case of 3 people accused of torturing a Las Vegas man in the desert for hours before killing him in Pahrump, near Pahrump that is. Now, after this hearing is over, the judge could decide during this hearing whether or not prosecutors have enough evidence to present the charges to a jury and go to trial. According to arrest reports, all 3 of the suspects have confessed to killing 27-year-old Roy Jaggers in a revenge scheme. Now, this latest witness in court was his mother. She spoke very shortly, then understandably became very nauseated and sick after seeing a picture of her son's body and had to take a very short break. She became very emotional during her testimony and only testified for a short while, and now they're getting ready to bring another witness to the stand. While we wait for that witness to appear, we'll be leaving you with this live picture.
Is there any questions for him? Yeah, that's fine. Why don't you go grab a gentleman by the name of Ruben Ayala?
You know what? I feel like with Ruben, it's the same thing for Ruben.
I don't know,
It
honestly.
is.
I honestly.
Not if you read the
You talk to your
discovery.
client, so.
No, if you read the discovery, it's nothing from my client, it's from the discovery.
I don't know. I've never talked to him yet.
All right.
Can we step right up to the other officer?
Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? You may be seated.
Could you please state and spell your name for the record?
My name is Ruben Mora, R-U-B-E-N, last name is Mora, M-O-R-A.
I'm sorry. What was your last name?
Mora.
Mora, M-O-R-A.
Okay, I was saying Ayala.
That's my mom's maiden name.
Okay.
I go by Mora Ayala.
I guess.
I use Ruben Mora.
Ruben, I'm going to kind of cut to the chase here, okay? I want to talk to you about Heather and Kevin and July 31st, turning into August 1st of this year. I want to ask you some questions about your involvement. You need to be aware that you can't be forced to incriminate yourself.
I was never involved in this.
Okay? So you have no problem with me asking you some questions? Are you sure?
Let's go away.
I'm going to ask the judge to admonish you just to be sure, okay?
Yeah.
Your Honor, would you please?
All right. Ruben, let me tell you that you have the right to remain silent. Okay? Any statements that you make can and will be used against you in any future proceedings, okay? So basically, you don't have to say anything. You have the right to be represented by an attorney. And if you do not have an attorney, one may be appointed to you before any questioning, if you wish one. Do you understand that? So what they're going to get into is some events that happened around this with Mr. Pate, or Miss Pate and Mr. Dent, that you said you had no involvement in. Okay? So if you had any involvement at all whatsoever, no matter how small it was, you have a right to not testify and not say anything incriminating against yourself. Do you understand that? Do you want to testify here today?
No, I don't.
Okay.
Did he say, now I don't?
No, he said, no, I don't.
No, I don't want to testify.
You're free to go. Thank you. Who else do you want to talk to?
We're still waiting on the other guy?
Yes, Mr. Decker's out talking to him.
Corey will be next. Corey Fowles, you want me to get him?
I would have to call them.
Is there any cop out there ready to testify?
See any except myself. I can't testify.
What time did we
You
tell?
want to check the office? You might be in the office.
Yeah, tell them to start flooding on over here. Oh, flood. Yeah. taken. Yeah, no, and I should. Huh? I said, I hear you, and then I said, I should, you're right there.
Yeah, you fooled it.
Maud, where's Maud? I forgot that was in there. In the deep Oh, I forgot that it was in changing words. Which direction is backwards.
Still, shutter, still, that was a good one. And you are very important to the
Yeah. We'll pull that one out today. Where do you use that? You use that on the movies?
Yes.
Okay.
Heard that. Movie is interesting.
Yeah, we didn't waste a moment on that one.
Regardless of something like that, we would do that to people. That's me, you're talking to me, right? I would have.
Let me tell you, that's probably the least of that little bit.
Yeah. I can tell you, I don't know.
First thing you better get your receivership with it. It's a basic, I think that was the first hire.
I remember when you came out there, when you actually were overseas and while you came from the block, he would be,
Yep.
so they came back here, and he is back. So he went off.
No, but no, in our. I was getting ready for 6 days of this. I'm not even playing. I didn't know what to. I got my first. You might go down there. How about parsley and sage? You good? I thought we were going to some kind of Scarborough fair. No? Okay.
Ms. Decker, does he want to testify?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. So Scarborough does not want to testify?
Correct.
Okay. You free to go, Kurt?
Absolutely.
All right, thank you.
That's it?
All right.
Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give should be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? You may be seated.
Please state and spell your name for the record.
Corey Fowles, Coreyfowles.
Mr. Vito.
What is your occupation, sir?
I'm a detective supervisor with the Knight County Sheriff's Office.
And how long have you been so employed?
As a detective for 4 years, but with the Sheriff's Office 14 years.
Did you partake in the investigation of a homicide discovered August 1, 2021?
I did.
What was your involvement?
I supervised the detectives that processed that scene and investigated that incident.
And that process, which scene?
We processed several scenes. We processed the scene of the homicide itself in Knight County, and we processed 3 or 4 subsequent crime scenes after that.
So let's talk about those. Let's talk about the crime scene at Cathedral Canyon. You were there?
Yes,
And, I'm sorry, were you the one that was delegating responsibility?
I was.
And do you happen to recall that address?
It was on Hidden Hills Road in Knight County, and I'd have to look at my report to recall the numeric.
So you arrived at that scene Sunday morning.
Yes.
What did you do upon arrival?
I met with my supervisor, and he told me kind of the nature of the scene. I coordinated response from other detectives, and we went into processing the scene there.
And who was your supervisor?
David Rukowitz.
And who were the people that you delegated responsibility to?
Detective Mendoza, Detective Sotelo.
And were you tasked with any responsibilities at that scene?
Yes, the first task I was assigned to was to do a scene diagram of the scene.
Okay, and did you in fact do that?
I did.
And how did you do that?
I drew an overall, an aerial diagram of the canyon, the decedents. I used two fixed points in the area to take measurements from those 2 fixed points to the decedent, and diagram to the relative locations of those 2 fixed points.
And the address at Hidden Hills, South Hidden Hills Road, 90214, does that sound accurate?
That sounds accurate.
How long did you stay at the address of the crime scene at Hidden Hills, South Hidden Hills Road?
We were there for approximately 10 or 11 hours.
And you had opportunity to observe the body?
I did.
Were you there when the body was ultimately removed from where it was initially observed?
Yes.
And who was in charge of removing the body?
It was Lee Funeral Home was the mortuary.
And they arrived and took custody of the body?
Yes.
And what was done with the body after that, do you know?
The body was transported to the Clark County Coroner's Office in Las Vegas for an autopsy.
And an autopsy was conducted?
Yes.
Did you come into contact with Heather Pate?
I did.
Was she encountered by law enforcement at her residence in Clark County, Las Vegas, Nevada?
Yes.
With respect to law enforcement officers. Who encountered her there?
Captain Barukowitz made contact with her.
Were you there when she was initially contacted?
Yes.
Did she initially confess to any criminal activity?
Not the first time, no.
Did she thereafter admit her role in a kidnapping and homicide?
Yes.
Was her vehicle at the residence?
Yes.
What type of vehicle was it?
The red Nissan Pathfinder.
Do you happen to recall her residence?
It was an apartment on Aaron David Drive in Las Vegas. And I'd have to look at my report to recall it from there.
And who is Kevin Dent to Heather Pate?
To my knowledge, he's an acquaintance, and I believe there was mention that they were in a dating relationship.
And Heather Pate's residence in Las Vegas, 2697 Aaron David Drive, apartment B. Does that sound familiar?
Yes.
Is that it?
Yes.
Were you, apartment B. Were you with law enforcement officers when Kevin Dent was contacted at his place of residence?
Yes.
Was that also in Las Vegas?
Yes.
Did he confess to his role in the kidnapping and murder of Roy Jaggers?
Yes.
Did you search his vehicle and home pursuant to warrant?
I did.
What did you discover inside Kevin Dent's vehicle pertinent to why we're here today?
I found the victim, Roy Jaggers' wallet, a pair of handcuffs, and 2 white trash bags in the cargo area of Kevin Dent's vehicle. And inside those white trash bags was a brown tarp, duct tape, orange tie-down straps, and cut up clothing that appeared to be soiled by blood.
And, I'm sorry, you found a wallet?
A wallet, yes.
Whose wallet was it?
Roy Jaggers' wallet.
And how do you know it was Roy Jaggers' wallet?
It was a blue wallet, and earlier on in the investigation, Roy Jaggers' mother told me that he had a blue wallet. And in the same bag that I found the wallet, I found what appeared to be the contents of that wallet that were shredded or had attempted to be shredded.
Let me show you some photographs. State proposed exhibits 4. Or something through something. Let me see what I can figure out here. Ultimately, I'll be showing you state proposed exhibits 4A through T. And the defense counsel have a gander at those. second. Let me get these going in the right direction. No. Sure.
Judge covered our witness regarding how he got access to the items in Mr. Dent's car. Detective Fowles, where was his car located? Was it Clark County or Nye County?
It was Clark County.
And did you obtain a telephonic search warrant to search the car?
I do not.
Did you get a written permission from my client to search the vehicle?
I do not.
How did you find yourself, or what made you believe that you were legally able to search Mr. Dent's vehicle?
David Berukowitz, I was present while he applied for a telephonic search warrant with the district court of Pahrump, and that search warrant was granted.
Okay. So Mr. Berukowitz, or whatever his title is now, got the search warrant?
Okay.
Okay. Based upon what you told him, or based upon what he knew from the case?
Based upon what he knew from the case.
I'm just to preserve the record, Judge. I don't object. I don't think it's proper. I don't think he has proper authority to search my client's car. I understand that you're not answering, but I want to preserve the issue. So, also, those first group of photographs, some are duplicative, just so you know. I gave those back to you, correct?
Yeah, put it back to it. Your Honor, did you want to hear argument on the objection?
I think you should. I made the objection. I'm not trying to be a gentleman, but that's fine.
This witness has testified that he was present when the warrant to search the vehicle was requested and present when the request was granted. They searched the vehicle pursuant to a warrant. They found stuff. I'd like to talk about it.
My only concern, I don't think he was present when, I don't think he was with, you were with, what is he now, Captain, Admiral? Berukowitz, Captain Berukowitz, you weren't physically with him when you applied for it.
I was.
Oh, you were?
I heard his side of the conversation on the phone.
Oh, okay. I thought you were in, I think it was another jurisdiction.
No, sir, we were there.
Okay, and then you were the one that executed it.
You're correct.
I still made my objection, Judge.
For clarification, do we know, other than a district court judge, who issued the warrant?
Do you know which district court judge it was?
I do. Judge Lane.
Judge Lane, Judge.
Okay. All right.
May I proceed, Your Honor?
You may proceed.
Thank you. Showing you what has been preliminarily marked as State's Proposed Exhibits 4A through T. Take your time, go through those exhibits, look up when you've had the opportunity to review them, and I have some questions. Have you had an opportunity to review those photographs?
Yes,
You recognize them?
I do.
Are they accurate?
Yes.
Do those photographs depict items that were removed from Kevin Dent's vehicle
Yes.
pursuant to search warrant?
Yes.
Your Honor, I would ask that state proposed exhibits 4A through T be admitted into evidence.
Same objection. Same objection, Judge.
All right. Any other objections?
Wait a minute.
All right, there'll be a minute.
Thank you, Your Honor. Starting with 4A. What's depicted there?
This is a pair of black chain handcuffs.
And those were in Mr. Dent's vehicle?
Yes.
And how about 4B?
Judge, at this point, they're admitted, he's testified that they got him out of the car, and you have him. He's already testified to it. Are we gonna do this a third time for purposes of preliminary purposes? I'm gonna object as to redundant. Cumulative.
I haven't seen them. So
That's
I
the
don't know what
purpose
they're
of going
about.
through them, Jason.
Pardon me?
That's the purpose of going through them, because you haven't seen.
I want the purpose of.
I haven't seen Discovery, so I don't know what you've seen, and it may be redundant for you because you've already seen them in Discovery.
No, they've been admitted, though.
They've been admitted,
So
but I
you
still
can
don't
see
have
them.
them. I haven't seen them. I don't know what's on them.
Do you want Detective Fowles to describe them to you, or do you want to look at it yourself, Judge?
I don't have an issue if that's the way the state wants to proceed. That's their
You can do
case.
both.
It's their case, yeah, whatever they want to do.
Thank you, Your Honor. What do we have depicted in B?
B is duct tape.
And how about C?
C is the duct tape again, and some bloody paper towels that were recovered.
And where are we at, D?
D is the inside of the back seat of Kevin Dent's car. It shows the trash bags and the bag that I found all in.
Okay. And what kind of vehicle was Kevin Dent's vehicle?
It was a white Chevy Blazer or Chevy Trailblazer.
Like a small SUV?
Yeah.
And how about the next one?
This is a sneaker and a black Nike shoe with blood on the bottom of it that was also in the vehicle.
Next.
Those are clothing. There's a pair of pants that were cut that I found in the trash bag. That's another close-up photograph of blood on the pants. And next is the orange tie-down strap that was in the bags. Photographs of cut t-shirt. Another cut shirt.
And this clothing, did it look bloodstained?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, there's blood on it, on the shirts.
Go ahead.
Next photograph is a blood-stained towel with some duct tape stuck to it. The next photograph is again the reverse side of the towel, I think, with more duct tape on it, blood-stained also. The next photo is, I believe it's a white shirt or a rag, it's also blood-stained, kind of in the same area in the car. The next photograph is more duct tape that was pulled out of the back of the car. The next photograph is again more duct tape found in the same area in the car. The next photograph is a pair of underwear that had been cut. The next photograph is the back side of the brown tarp that looks like it has blood on it. That's down in the car on the trash bags. And again, another photo of the same tarp with the blood on it. The next photo is a photograph of the inside of the Smith's grocery bag that had the victim's blue wallet and shreds in it. The next photograph is the handcuffs that I pulled out of that bag in the car.
And the handcuffs were pulled out of which bag?
The same bag. It was pulled out of one of the brown grocery bags in the car.
Okay. And where were these items recovered from within the vehicle?
In the back seat.
Not the back cargo area, but the back passenger area?
Correct.
And let me show you state proposed exhibits 5, A, B, and C.
It's the wallet.
Yeah.
Same objection, Judge.
Same response. Do you recognize those photographs?
I do,
Are they accurate?
yes.
What do they depict?
5A is a photograph of Roy Jagger's driver's license that had been attempted to be shredded. I found that in the same brown grocery bag the wallet was in. The next photograph is another picture of, again, his license, but also what looks like a Southern Nevada Health District food card and a food stamp card that were also shredded. And the next photograph is a photo of the wallet itself.
So these items, the driver's license, it was actually shredded, it was in pieces, correct?
So the driver's license, if I'll expand on that, it was shredded, but whatever shredder was used, it didn't separate the pieces. So when I pulled it out, it was kind of like an accordion type of folded up, but the other identifying documents were shredded and in pieces.
And you kind of put it back together?
I did.
Your Honor, I would ask that 5A through C be admitted into evidence. I think it has been. I'd like to show you state proposed exhibits 7A and
I'll
7.
object to the motion as a, well, fruits of an unlawful search, Judge. Same objection I've been making.
All right.
I'm sorry, what are you showing them now?
7A and B.
Which is?
Did you not see it? Oh, I apologize. I thought I'd pass those around. Counsel, take your time. Nah, I thought so. Thank you very much. Let me backtrack just a little bit. So Roy Jagger's driver's license was recovered from Kevin Dent's vehicle,
Yes.
as were the handcuffs
Yes.
and the duct tape
Yes.
and the tar
Yes.
and bloody clothing.
Yes.
Did Kevin Dent say what he did with Roy Jagger's phone?
Yes, he did.
What did he say?
I'm going to object at this point, Judge, back and forth, Dyer.
Okay.
You met with Mr. Dent,
Yes.
did you read him his Miranda rights?
I did re-advise him of his Miranda rights at some point while I drove him back to Pahrump.
All right. Did he agree to speak with you?
Yes.
You recorded this conversation?
Yes.
Did you have him sign a written waiver of Miranda?
No.
Did you do any check to see if he's under the influence of drugs or alcohol at the time, where he had his capacity to understand his Miranda rights?
No.
I'll object, Judge. I don't think my client, there's enough here for me to know if my client fully understood his Miranda rights and understood that he had the right not to speak to Detective Ballas.
Overall.
Did Kevin Dent say what he did with the victim's phone?
Yes.
What did he say?
He said he threw it out of the window while he was in the passenger seat of Heather Pate's car on the way to Pahrump in Vegas.
Did he give a pretty specific understanding of where the victim's phone could be found?
Yes, he did.
And in fact, is that where Roy Jagger's phone was found?
I know it was found in that area.
And did he give you an understanding of what vehicle he was in when that happened?
Yes.
What vehicle was that?
Heather Pate's Nissan Pathfinder.
After being advised of his Miranda warning and agreeing to speak with you, did he give you an understanding of the significance of the victim's phone?
The significance as far as I don't understand.
That's okay. I'm going to change direction. Do you recall responding to 1740 South Old West Avenue in Pahrump?
Yes.
For what purpose?
We, again, obtained a search warrant to search that residence for more evidence of this behind this investigation.
And whose residence was 1740 South Old West Avenue in Pahrump?
Brad Min.
Did you recover anything of evidentiary value from Brad Means' residence at 1740 South Old West Avenue in Pahrump?
Yes, we seized, pursuant to search warrant, several firearms, ammunition, electronic devices, computers, cell phones.
Did you later respond to 3551 Donner Street?
I did.
Whose residence was that?
I don't remember the name of the resident that was there.
Let me show you State Proposed Exhibit 6. Yeah, go ahead. You can show it to council first.
The original, the original. Detective Sergeant, you recognize what has been preliminarily marked as State Proposed Exhibit 6?
Yes.
And how is it that you recognize that box?
I was present when we packaged the shotgun in this box and put it in evidence.
And you've referenced it as being a shotgun. Is that the shotgun that was recovered at 3551 Dollar Street?
Yes.
I'm gonna object, I don't know how he knows, that's a box, it says it is, but he has to probably look at it, doesn't it, to see if it's the right shotgun?
Were you at 3551 Donner Street?
Yes.
Did you recover a shotgun from that location?
Yes.
Was it identified to you as the murder weapon?
Yes.
Who identified that to you as the murder weapon?
Brad Min.
Okay. And inside that box is that shotgun? Or you assume it's that shotgun?
Yes.
We're about to find out. Is that box currently sealed?
Yes, it is.
Your Honor, I would ask that State Proposed Exhibit 6 be admitted into evidence.
Maybe the box, Judge, but we don't see what's inside it.
And we'll get there. It's not been marked?
It's not been marked yet, so first of all, let's get it marked, and number one, and number two, you want to open it to see what's in the box?
Sure.
Just to make sure we don't have just an empty box there.
That's
That's what I would do.
So first we need to get it marked.
All right.
Thanks, Alex. And State Proposed Exhibit 6 is currently sealed?
Yes.
I ask you to break the seal and let's see what's inside that box.
You guys want to look at it to verify that it's been sealed, or are you?
I saw when Detective Pahrump showed it to me.
I saw this, yes.
Okay, all right, go ahead. Yes. Gibson, you want to approach the door?
Your Honor, I renew my motion that State proposes written 6 box containing shotgun be admitted into evidence.
I didn't hear Detective Powell say that's the shotgun that he put into the box.
This is the shotgun I recovered from Donner Street.
I'm sorry, it's just an important case. No, I'm not going to object at this point.
I'm good with it. I understand.
I saw Mr. Vinarola's eyes.
I didn't roll my eyes.
You made a face.
I didn't make a face.
All right, state's exhibit, the state should be admitted into evidence.
It's the only face I got.
Box and contents. However, I would order at the conclusion of this hearing that that evidence be retained by the sheriff's office. I don't have anywhere to store it.
That makes sense.
You're sitting out.
Sure. Thank you very much. And Detective Sergeant, that's the shotgun that Brad Mee indicated was used to kill Roy Jennings.
Yes.
How did you initially observe that shotgun? Where did you first see it?
I first saw it in the garage. It was wrapped in a vinyl banner in the garage. He told me it was in that vinyl wrapping.
And this was all in Nye County, right?
Yes.
From that address, did you relocate to 921 First Street, number 10?
Yes.
For what purpose?
There was another witness there that we made the interview that had information about this case.
Are you familiar with an area known as a shooting range off of Bella Vista?
I am.
Did you relocate to that location at any point?
I did.
Why did you go there?
Brad Min told us, we told Captain Berkowitz that that was the site that they took the victim to, where they tortured him.
And did they describe what was done with him after they tortured him at that site?
Oh, Judge is overly broad. There's 3 defendants. State uses the word they. I don't know. I think it's important to know who said what.
That's fair. I can go into that a little bit. Yeah. Were you provided information that all three of the defendants, Mean, Dent, and Pate, were torturing the victim at that location?
Objection, meaning,
Hearsay, but that's fine. Why did you go to the shooting range off of Bell Vista?
Captain Berkowitz told me that during his interview with Bradman that they took Roy Jaggers there and tortured him.
Okay.
I'm going to object to hearsay on that.
For the life of me, can't understand the hearsay objection.
Out of court declaration, which is prove the truth of the matter asserted.
Not using it to prove the truth of the matter asserted.
Oh, no,
One
it's
thing.
true that Jupiter is larger than Saturn.
Go ahead.
I get the question again, sorry.
Yes. You relocated to the shooting range off of Bell Vista
Yes.
because you've been given information that Brad Mean said that's where they tortured the victim.
Yes.
Were you given information with respect to the brown tarp that you observed in Kevin Dent's vehicle?
I do recall Captain Berkowitz telling me that the victim was at the Bell Vista shooting range, that he was wrapped up in a tarp.
Okay. So is that why finding the tarp in Kevin Dent's vehicle was important?
Objection, meaning. You should be asking him why you found whatever was important, but not the object and subject of what he's requesting. So,
Oh, Joey.
Great.
You found a brown tarp in Kevin Dent's vehicle, correct?
Yes.
We have photographs of it in evidence.
Yes.
What was the significance of finding the brown tarp in Kevin Dent's vehicle?
Because I was told that they wrapped him in a tarp at the Bell Vista range after they tortured him there.
How many trucks did Brad Mean say he had?
2.
Which truck was used to go back and forth from the shooting range where the victim was tortured?
I believe that was the gray truck.
And which truck was used to transport the victim to the Cathedral Canyon area?
I believe that was the black truck.
And did you have opportunity to speak to a person named Norman Mullet?
I did.
Was evidence collected from Norman Mullet's residence at 921 First Street, number 10?
Yes.
Did Norman Mullet provide you with a version of facts pertaining to his encounter with Mean and going to Cathedral Canyon?
Yes.
Did he describe to you meeting up with Dent and Pate?
Yes.
Were you able to observe the areas that Mullet referenced?
At Cathedral Canyon?
Did he mention Tacoma Turnoff?
Yes.
And he mentioned Cathedral Canyon?
Yes.
Were you able to observe those areas?
Yes.
Is what you observed consistent with what he said?
Yes.
Let me show you State Proposed Exhibits 7A and B. You recognize those photographs?
Yes.
Is the shooting range off of Bell Vista in Nye County, Nevada?
Yes.
Are those photographs, State's Proposed Exhibits 7A and B, accurate?
Yes.
What can you tell me about those photos?
These are tools that we recovered from Norman Mullet's residence. And we seize these and put them into evidence.
So you recovered those items as evidence?
Yeah.
From where
Nine-
specifically?
Norman Mullet's residence at 921 First Street.
Specifically where at his residence, if you recall?
I don't recall, Detective Fisher had already found these before I got there. They were photographed in 7A, and laying on the ground in front of his porch depicts where they were when I got there.
And what do we see depicted in those photographs?
I see the hatchets, a baton, which I would describe as a PR-24, a wrench, a yellow handle of a staple gun, and a bayonet.
Is there a belt in there?
The belt, yes, there's a belt.
What color is the belt?
Brown belt.
Your Honor, I request that state proposed exhibits 7A and B be admitted. If those are admitted, then I would show that 4A through whatever was admitted, 5A through whatever was admitted, the murder weapon 6, and 7A and B if you admit that one. Is that correct? A through T, I think 4 was A through T, 5 was A through C.
As we're learning, 7A and B have not been admitted as of yet. And 5, A, B, and C have not been admitted as of yet because of the motion.
Yes, I would move to admit 5A through C and 7A and B. I agree.
All right, they should be admitted.
Thank you, Mike. I have no more questions of this witness at this time.
Mr. Gibbs, cross-examination.
Thank you, Your Honor. Detective Falls, what formal training do you have for homicide investigations?
I took a post-accredited coroner investigation class in the police academy. I took a 40-hour PATSY class in 2015 regarding homicide investigations, and most recently a 40-hour class in homicide investigations in November of 2020 was my most recent homicide training.
Who was designated as the scribe for the scene of the crime?
It was Deputy Augustine.
And as a scribe, what are his duties?
He maintained the crime scene attendance sheet.
Anything else?
I don't recall him writing anything but the crime scene attendance sheet.
Have you had a chance to look at his report or his work product?
Deputy Augustine's?
Yes.
No.
How large in spatially was the crime scene is on at Cathedral Canyon?
It was large. I don't know how to define it in terms of.
Like an estimate of like for red squares, how many yards it is?
300 yards by 100 yards, maybe.
And was everyone who was involved with or entered the crime scene after you got there, was their presence recorded?
I'm sorry, can you?
Is everybody accounted for that was showing up at the scene?
Bless you. That's really loud, bless you.
Yes, it should be documented on the crime scene attendance sheet.
And how was the crime scene secured? Was it tape, rope, cetera?
There was 2 large American tape or rope off. So it was controlled by the road, the Hidden Hills Road on the way into the crime scene was blocked by our cars. And Deputy Augustine was posted there to log investigators' attendance.
Right, and who, if you know, declared the body to be deceased?
I don't know which deputy pronounced that.
Now, you say that you testified you searched Mr. Meaning's residence?
That's correct.
You said you looks like firearms, ammunition, computers, electronic devices. Did you have a warrant to obtain those items?
I personally did not, but there was a warrant obtained by Captain Brookwoods.
And
I don't know.
so that at the time you searched, you didn't have a warrant?
I did not, in my possession, physically have a warrant, but there was a warrant to search that lady.
And how do you know there was a warrant?
Captain Brookwoods told me there was.
Was there anything you're told?
I have no reason to believe that Captain Brookwoods would lie about having a search warrant.
What, if anything, that you seized from the Mike Cummings' residence has been identified as evidence of a crime?
Specifically, the shotgun ammunition that was found in Mr. Moon's residence.
That's it?
And, well, the firearm, at the time we searched his residence, we didn't know which firearm we would use, but it's apparent that a firearm was used. There were several firearms that we seized from his residence.
Now, you see computers and electronic devices. Have you looked through those by now?
No.
Right now, you're having a live look of the second half of the court hearing in the case of 3 people accused of torturing a Las Vegas man in the desert for hours before killing him near Pahrump. Now, this latest witness you're seeing with the Nye County Sheriff's Office testifies that he was there at the crime scene. He says he observed Roy Jager's body, wallet, driver's license, and other gruesome details in this case we won't go into right now. Later, the judge is expected to make his decision on whether or not to move forward with a jury trial through this hearing. We do have a crew in the courtroom and we'll bring you updates this evening on our 7 at 7 p.m. newscast and online at lvrj.com. I'm Jen Ah. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you at 7 tonight.
You've been watching breaking news from the Las Vegas Review-Journal, sponsored by Michael Gaughan's